Hello and welcome back to Catching Up with Chris. I think I'm finally used to saying it. So, we have a couple more questions that were posed by people from our database. And I'm going to address both of those questions now. It's interesting because these are in the theme of wealth once again. We get a lot of questions about wealth and riches and living a rich lifestyle, of course. But this question, first question is this. When you were so much in debt, how did you change your mindset about it to then and then manage your way out of it? Okay, so when you were so much in debt, how did you change your life and your mindset about it and then manage your way out of it? The first thing that I did, and this is a trick, so make sure nobody else is listening. All right, we're good. Close the doors, close the windows. This is what I did about debt. The first thing to realize is this, and that is that debt is not what does most people in. It's debt to revenue ratio or debt to income ratio. So if you've got debt but the income's going down, there's a problem. If you've got debt but the income or the revenue is going up, then there's not so much of a problem because you can dwarf that debt with the revenue that's raising or the income that's coming in, the additional income. So it's not debt that does most people in, it's debt to revenue ratio or debt to income ratio. If you look at a student will go to school and they'll study, they'll spend maybe $300,000 to get an MBA when all is said and done, and then they've got a truckload of debt, student debt, but they did that for a reason. They did it to move themselves in another direction. So the debt is not actually debt in my mind from that perspective. And so I think the first place that you have to make the shift is in your mind. The debt is actually an investment. And so they've made an investment in themselves. And once again, as I always say, you are your wealth. You are your own best investment. You're worth your time. You're worth your energy. And an investment in yourself is an investment ultimately in your dreams. So every college student that goes to school hopefully is investing in the future of their choice. It's not always that way. And they don't always necessarily get the right skills and knowledge, but that's a different story. Not a knock at the schools. I've heard that from people at the schools. But in any case, if you look at a Bill Gates, Bill Gates is very interested in education. He just knew that the real world education was going to be more valuable to him for him to jump right in. So sometimes where we get the education is going to make all the difference in the world. It's not so much what we do as what we don't do that makes a difference as we're moving things forward and we're developing and building our wealth and causing our life to be richer and more full. But with the debt itself, what I did was I played this trick in my mind. I took all my debt, and by the way, at the time, I had $70,000 in debt. And what I did was I'll say this eventually. I had $70,000 in debt. Half of that debt was just consumer stupid debt. Like things, paying for things that I'd never see again, for dinners and things like that. I'm throwing it on credit cards. I just didn't know what I was doing. Then the other half of it was for my education. So that was an investment in myself. What I did was in my mind, I chunked it all together and I said, okay, this is all my investment. Some of my investment was just stupid investment. Now, that was all the consumer debt. So I put a new boundary in my life. I said, I'm not going to make any more expenditures on credit cards or, on credit for anything that was something other than an investment that would pay a greater rate of return. And once again, you're always your own best investment. So I continued to fund my education on credit and things like that. But what I cut down on was all the consumer stuff. And I just focused on where I needed to focus, because in life we get what we focus on. If you focus on debt, that's all you see. That's all you see is the problem. We've got to get you focused on what it is that you choose to create. And so if you look at, if you consider the debt to be your investment, now your job is to go out and dwarf that investment, to increase your income, to become the person who's worth so much more. So start educating yourself and reframe your debt. That's an easy way to deal with it. All right, second question, question number 2. This is a very specific question, but it could relate to many of you out there. The question is it says, I have a number of investment strategies with respect to property in particular on this one. I've been introduced to recently. And by the way, I am not an investment advisor, and I'm not a licensed advisor, so I'd always, whenever it comes down to specifics, I always say, go and talk to a financial advisor, develop a team around you of people that are far more intelligent than you, in these specific areas, but there is a part of this question that I will be able to respond to. So he says these investment property strategies I've been introduced to recently. The question is, how do I increase my focus so that I stop getting distracted by the different options? Target one strategy, take action, and move forward. And I'm going to take that question from the perspective of, from two perspectives. Number one, like I said, surround yourself with people that are infinitely more intelligent than you. When I went to go look at buying a small hotel resort, which I never did. And by the way, I didn't have the money when I did it either. I just went to look to do it, like Richard Branson did with his island when he didn't have the money. I brought my friend Sushil Patel, who buys and flips hotels like most people buy and flip residential properties. And I said, Sushil, what questions do we need to ask here? So I got somebody that was far more intelligent than me to go in on the deal with me. And you can always do that. So you got to surround yourself with the right people, number one, to get the right answers. Number two, the second part of the question that I can respond to is this issue of distraction. So you say that you have things being launched at you, this idea, try this strategy, try this strategy, try this strategy. There's many strategies that one could use to win the game. And I will simply give you my personal philosophy on this one. You're going to do what you do ultimately on your own. My personal philosophy is this: I want to de-risk the situation to the best of my ability, and I want to concentrate my focus to the best of my ability. Concentration of focus and purpose has been that's the real secret to me behind many people's success, whether behind all success really. When you look at Warren Buffett, he says life is like a snowball. What we need is a really long hill and some really wet snow. So it's staying that targeted course for a long period of time that allows you to orchestrate tipping points in your life where the floodgates fly wide open and you're rewarded tremendously. But there's always distractions, right? So it's not so much getting clear about what you're doing as it's getting clear about what you're not doing. Getting the distractions off your plate, getting rid of those. That's number one. Remember the metaphor from Michelangelo. He said, I didn't so much cut the statue of David as I did cut away everything that wasn't David. So you gotta get really clear on what are you gonna cut out, what is not part of your ultimate dream. And then leave it off the table. I'll tell you, I get pitched on 50 different things in a week when I'm flying around the country or flying out of the country in Australia or London or Asia or wherever I am. Where we just come back from Egypt. But when I'm flying around, there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of opportunities that come in. So you have to develop your own way of evaluating what's a good opportunity and what's not. I would say in the beginning, if I were in your place, what I would do is pick the one strategy that I'm going to run with that's closest to my heart, that most resembles my dreams. Doesn't have to be perfect. You just need something to get momentum, to start moving toward. Once you create that momentum and once you create that snowball effect, keep moving in that direction until you create success with it. Then allow that success to parlay into other successes rather than diversifying your focus all up front. I coached a guy early on, and by the way, this is one of the biggest problems I've found in coaching people all over the world, is that they're so diversified in their focus up front that they never get any traction, never make anything happen at all. So one of my first coaching clients, I remember he wanted to be the next Leonardo, wanted to do painting and drawing and sculpting and all this stuff, but hadn't started a darn thing. And so it was like, okay, let's pick one, let's get that track record of success, and then parlay it into other things. It's the best piece of advice that I can give is that you've got to, first of all, make it a goal to get really clear on how are you going to evaluate those things that come in and whether they're going to add to the picture or take away from the picture. Whether you're looking at any of the big companies out there, Virgin, or you look at Warren Buffett and you look at Berkshire Hathaway, they're very clear about what types of things they get in. They have criteria, investment criteria for what types of things they get into. You're talking about investing your time. And so you should be very clear about what it is that you need as well in relationship to your ultimate dream. Stay focused on that dream and stay focused on your goals and stay focused on becoming the person who can make them happen. Until we meet again, this is Catching Up with Chris. Bye.